quite some time now, maybe as far back as the release of my Bjork and Laguz video, I've been considering making a series similar to Focus Emblem that discusses weapon refinery improvements. So I thought I'd finally give that idea a chance. Welcome everyone to the first episode of Hero Refinery. I've already built like 10 of these, but as with all new power summoning focuses, I'll only do 4 per episode. For this first episode, I chose the Grand Hero Battle unit I felt to be the most disappointing, a character from my favorite Fire Emblem game, a character who should be a joke, but is also pretty great, and someone who I just love because they have an awesome seasonal alt. Not even gonna lie to you. Before I begin, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes theory crafting content, and also comment below who you think most needs a weapon refinement in Heroes. Narcian is a unit from Fire Emblem The Binding Blade. While he's not playable in the main story, instead acting as a major boss character, he is playable in the post-game trial maps once you've completed the game once. One thing I find most interesting about him in Heroes is his use of axes. In Binding Blade, he was a Wyvern Warrior, who was therefore only able to wield lances and swords, not axes. In fact, the only time in the past he's been able to use axes has been when he was in Einherjar in Awakening. Based on that, he's probably based on his Awakening set, which makes sense because his kit doesn't at all resemble his boss fight from the Binding Blade, which is a major letdown because that's a pretty tough boss fight. Could make for an interesting build. So that boss fight is what I based his weapon on. I called his new personal weapon the Delphi Axe. This is after the Delphi Shield, which is the advanced trilogy version of Iote's Shield, an item which removes effective against fire bonuses when in combat against the unit holding it. It was available in that game by stealing it from Narcian before killing him. Until that happened, he would make use of the item himself, making bow units all but worthless against him. This is one of the 2 items that made Narcian a huge pain in Binding Blade. The other was his Rune Sword. This is a weapon with 3 different effects. First, it would heal him whenever he attacked. Second, it would allow him to attack and counterattack from a distance. Third, if he used it as a distance weapon, he would hit a unit's resistance instead of their defense. Obviously, it was a monster of a weapon, and I won't be throwing all of that together into a single item for Heroes. However, I will be using pieces from both that and the Delphi Shield to create it. The Delphi Axe would be, of course, a 16 might axe weapon that's non-inheritable. Upon learning the skill, it would automatically make its user, Narcian, immune to fire effectiveness, like its namesake shield. However, if you're going to give it a plus effect refinement, he'd be able to counter from distance, like he could if he had a rune sword. While it's not a perfect translation of his boss fight, it's a balanced one. It's still more useful than Emerald Axe. Hawkeye is the strong silent type. The current guardian of Nabata Desert in the city of Arcadia, it's his duty to protect those within its borders against the many people on the outside who would love to do them harm. He was instructed by the Archsage Athos to join Lyn, Eliwood, and Hector on their journey to defeat Nurgle. While he's a unit who I still use in Heroes a fair amount, he's still ranked averagely low among axe users. So, I saw fit to give him the opportunity for improvement here. Unlike Narcian, Hawkeye wields an actually useful weapon, the Slaying Axe, which decreases the max cooldown charge of his special skill. Since that weapon still holds up pretty well, I'll be adding onto it instead of replacing it with this new weapon, the Guardian Axe. To me, when I think of decreasing special charge, I think of blade skills, like Flashing or Heavy Blade. However, neither Hawkeye's attack or speed are anything really noteworthy. He's really more of a tank than anything else. Because of that, I based his blade weapon on its most noteworthy stat, his high resistance. If Hawkeye were to enter combat with a foe with lower resistance than him, he would gain special cooldown charge +1 per attack, making it so he can reach his special faster. It's a weapon that evolves cleanly from what he was previously packing, while also embracing his res tank status. While the last 2 characters have been from games I've played, these next 2, I'll admit, are from one of the games that I haven't, Awakening. The first of them is a fan favorite bumpkin, Donnel Tinhead. A villager from Yleis, he joined the Shepherds when his home was attacked. While initially out of his element, Donnel has an aptitude for improvement and can grow quickly to become a fine member of Crom's Shepherds. Despite that, he's still often treated as a joke. Because of that, I thought to give him a joke weapon from Awakening. The log. Yes, I'm serious. It's not just a lance named after wood because of how thick and strong it is. He's literally going to carry around a large log. However, I hope for this weapon to be more useful than its namesake. Since Donnel's original weapon was a brave lance, I decided to build off of that by giving the log the base brave effect of attacking twice in a row on the player phase. However, unlike the other brave weapons, it doesn't reduce his speed, despite being a large and unwieldy log. Donnel, just being a regular villager, has probably handled quite a few logs in his day and knows how to do it well. But that doesn't seem like enough. Unlike some other brave weapon users, he still isn't really considered all that great. Because of that, I splurged a little bit with an entirely new type of weapon effect. It acts as the offensive equivalent of the oft-forgot Deflect Melee Sacred Seal, by increasing all consecutive attacks after the first by 30% of the initial damage. That means that, if his first attack dealt 18 damage, the one immediately following it from his brave weapon would deal 23. Not only that, if you were to naturally double an enemy who was, for some reason, unable to counterattack, that third and fourth attack would also deal 23 damage. Though I admit to that not being very likely. However, it could lead to a vastly different build for him with a similar weapon effect, so I think it would be an interesting addition. The final character is one I didn't really care about until he had a Halloween variant, which is the first mage armor in the game, Henry. Sadly, his original form still isn't as noteworthy or interesting as that version, which I intend to fix here. The weapon I gave him is actually a piece of regalia from Awakening, a tome called Gosha. While in Awakening it was originally used by Aversa, she has joined Heroes with a different personal tone, winding up in a tricky spot with how we're going to see this tone appear in Heroes. With Tharja now having her own self-named personal weapon, Henry seems like the next logical choice to me. His base weapon is once again somewhat useful. The tome, Raw Raven, gives its user a weapon triangle advantage against colorless foes. Since Gosha didn't actually have an effect in Awakening, instead acting as simply a powerful dark magic tome, I think I'll keep the Raw Raven effect. However, that's still not quite enough for me. Thankfully though, Awakening isn't the only game this tome appears in. If you remember back to Smash 4, you might remember that you could switch around characters' move pools slightly. While the effects would still be the same, how it looked would be slightly different. One among these alternate moves for Robin was Gosha, replacing their Nosferatu move, which steals the opponent's damage. Since absorbing weapons on non-staff units are not super balanced, I instead gave him a flat amount. Each time Henry initiates combat, he heals 10 HP after the round is over. And that's it for this video. What do you think of the series? What about its name? Who do you want to see go to weapon refinement? Be sure to comment all that below, and if you enjoyed, remember to like the video and subscribe for more. And if you enjoy Fire Emblem Heroes theory crafting, be sure to check out the most recent episode of my other theory crafting show, Focus Emblem, where I talk about my ideas for this year's Far-Fetched Heroes Focus. Until next time, happy summoning.